Hey, everybody. Welcome to Simple Interrupted, the podcast where we talk about what's actually happening inside of your clinic. I'm your host, Mary Schwartz. I'm a certified veterinary technician turned a different kind of veterinary technology nerd. In each episode, we're going to unpack the client journey, technology, communication, and the systems that are supposed to make your life easier. Sometimes they don't, though. I've got Amanda with me today. Amanda, you want to give yourself a little intro?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Amanda Edwards. I am a veterinary practice manager here in Greenville, North Carolina. I've been in the industry about 13 years now, not aging myself or anything. My dog is getting ready to pull my computer off the table because he hates me. Um, when I'm not in the hospital, I'm looking for ways to help other veterinary leaders grow in their role and in their hospital and um, just find positive ways to enhance their team and what they're doing within their hospitals. So super excited to be here. And I co-host Feces and Laughter. You can kind of see my sign behind me,
I was
but we're a client
I was
facing
going to say we
veterinary
need to do a plug
podcast.
of your podcast. Tell us a little bit about
I
Feces and
know.
Laughter.
So Feces and Laughter is it came about because my medical director and co-host decided that first of all we're kind of funny, I think. So
I would agree.
we needed an outlet to talk to clients in a way that most people wouldn't in an exam room, which we don't in the exam room. So we were just like, you know what, we need a way to really talk about the raw things in veterinary medicine when it comes to patients and patient care and what clients are doing at home, and just be able to take that professional hat off. And it's been quite the journey. Feces and Laughter is synonymous with S&Gs, if you know what I'm saying, but the professional version. So yeah, if you guys are interested, give it a listen. For any veterinary professionals that are tuning in, we're always looking for people to jump on and chat with our listeners about different things to kind of keep in mind for their pets. And like I said, it's client facing, so we're always looking for new fun things to talk about with them.
I think it's a great example of how you can build a relationship with your clients that isn't just in the exam room. And I think that builds trust. It helps your clients come back more frequently. I mean, it's a really good insight into the real people behind the white coat.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd be surprised. The people who listen to our podcast are definitely not the people that I ever anticipated really enjoying it. And so it's been a lot of fun to have different clients come in the building and say, "Oh my God, I listened to last week's episode. It was so funny. I loved when you said XYZ." And I'm like, "You're like my grandmother. Why are you listening to this?"
They say don't judge a book by its cover for a reason,
Seriously.
right?
No, they have explained exactly why you should not do that.
Well, we're going to be talking a little bit today about change and about change management, right? Especially on the team side of it. So, obviously, the veterinary industry has been in flux for quite a long time, I think, particularly since COVID. I'd love to talk about some of the things that cause that constant change and then maybe some of the things that we can do to kind of help with it.
Yeah. So I think there's so many new things coming out in the world, not just in vet med. And veterinary medicine has always been very guilty of being late adopters and
Yes.
being very change averse. Like I feel like we live and breathe the "it's always been done this way" motto, and I don't understand why.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think right now, especially since COVID, the pendulum's kind of swinging. Vet med's getting on board and they're trying new things and really stepping outside of their comfort zone. But I think we've seen since COVID, we've seen a heavy increase in the number of clients we're seeing, in the pets that people have. Um, Turnover, I would say, some hospitals are seeing a lot of turnover because you've got people just looking for the next best thing and not really settling where they are. There's so many different pieces of technology that are coming out that are intended to increase our efficiency in the
Hmm.
hospital and create a better client experience. And I mean, there's just so much. There's so
It's
many reasons why.
overwhelming.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to keep up with.
I mean, you were at VMX this year. I saw dozens of new companies. AI was inside of
Yeah,
everything.
it's crazy. And probably, I mean, at least 75% of the lectures that I went to, they weren't titled to be about
Right.
AI. They weren't, you didn't walk into it expecting conversation around AI, but it went that direction. And I feel like there's so much fear around utilizing artificial intelligence within our
Mhm.
practice and within our daily lives. And um, it it hurts my feelings because I'm just like, there's so much good it can do if you utilize it right.
Yeah.
Um, but also these people that are just ignoring it and trying to pretend like it doesn't exist, they're going to get further and further behind. And it's it, by the time they actually get on board, it's going to be so advanced that it could be very overwhelming to learn.
Yeah, yeah, the learning curve is going to get steeper and steeper as we go along here. And I think also being really involved at the beginning of something, on the cusp of something like AI, helps you kind of understand what parts of it you do want to implement, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you might not want to use AI in every area of your
No.
practice. You might not want it reading your x-rays and, you know, interpreting your blood work, but you may want a scribe tool or something like that. Or maybe you do want it reading those things. But unless you kind of get yourself involved, you just don't know. And I think you bring up a good segue into kind of what we're here to talk about today, which is the folks who dig their heels in, the folks who aren't, you know, that are averse to change. They're in your practice, right? And there's also folks in your practice that are excited for new things. So, you know, as a leader, when you find a tool that you think is going to be really effective in your clinic, or you find a new piece of, you know, monitoring equipment or something like that, and you're like, this is going to be amazing, I'm going to bring it into the practice, everybody's going to love it. Not doesn't always work out that way. Yes. So how do you start with getting buy-in from your team, and what does it look like to get buy-in?
Yeah. So even though I would very boldly declare that our hospital, we are early adopters. We
Mhm.
are always game to add on new things. However, naysayers are a real thing, and we still have those, even though we do try things very early on in the process. It can be difficult. I think the first biggest thing for leaders is to be honest and open and be able to take a step back and first of all find those people on your team. If you know for a fact that Shirley and Cynthia, sorry, Shirley's and Cynthia's in the world, it's just what came to mind, that those two human beings are not great with technology. They are the ones that are just like, why do we need to change this policy? We've always done it this way. Like, if they are the ones that you know are going to fight you tooth and nail about a change, pull them, have an open conversation with them, learn and understand what their fears are around any type of change that you're trying to implement, and explain to them what you're trying to better for them in the workplace. We've got a couple of specific people on my team that I know they really struggle with technology, right? Like
Right.
I've we've got one girl, bless her heart, she is I honestly feel like technology hates her because
Uh,
she can touch something and it doesn't work, and I can walk up right behind her 2 seconds later and do the exact same thing she just did and it works. And she swears that I've got the magic touch, and I'm like, "Girl, I really don't. I really think it's you. I think that you talked so much trash to our electronics that they are staging a coup just against you."
they're not having it.
But no, not at all. But she's one of my people that if I know that I'm putting in a change that is technology driven, I pull her first. And
Yeah.
I talk to her and I'm just like, "Hey, I know that you've been complaining about our check-in process for surgeries. I have some ideas that I think are going to make this easier for you, but I want to get your feedback." And so giving her the opportunity to tell me what her tell me her questions, ask her questions, tell me what her thoughts are around it, tell me what she thinks she's going to struggle with that
Yeah.
implementation, and then like just troubleshoot that with her. And then it gives her a way to familiarize herself with it before you actually bring it to the team, because if you've got a team of like heck yesers, then you don't probably have to worry about bringing on something new. But I think really diving into the ones that are going to struggle, that might have a little bit more of a learning curve, being able to talk to those people. And then just with the
Yeah.
team itself, being able to explain, listen to your team, be be present in the hallways and in the treatment areas and in the exam rooms, and see what their roadblocks are, hear what
Yeah.
their complaints are. And then when you find something, if you're at an expo or like a conference or in these leadership forums and Facebook groups, you've got a wealth of information right at your
Hmm.
fingertips. Talk to them, see what they're doing, and try things out. Talk to your team. And it's, I think getting buy-in is a lot easier than people think. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of trust building.
I think also we work in an industry where people don't want to create a lot of friction, right? I mean, I know we've all had folks in our practice that create a ton of drama, but in my experience, by and large, most of the team just wants to go along and get along and, have a smooth experience. So in instances where you might be having folks on your team just saying yes, but not having real buy-in, how can you identify them and win them over and make sure that you're exposing not them exposing them in terms of like making them upset, but exposing their actual feelings and making sure you have a chance to address those?
Yeah. So I think when you're introducing something new to a team, actually going around and hearing people out, you'll know the people that are truly engaged
Yeah.
and pro change, because they're going to be excited. They're going to probably fly off the handle giving you all of their feedback and what they're excited about. And look for those quiet people. Look for those people that are maybe eye rolling, crossing their arms, huffing. Like, we know those people, right? Like, you could
Yes.
probably close your eyes and picture their faces in very vivid detail. Um, but finding those people and not necessarily calling them out in a bad way, but maybe like picking a couple of different people and then saying like, "Hey Mary, what's your thoughts? What are you, or do you have any like anxiety around this? Do you have any like fears around this change?" That way they can vocalize it. They've seen other people share. Another thing is like I said, if you prep your known naysayers beforehand, calling on them when you're in the circle. Because a lot of times the people who say yes just because, they're going to look at that person because they know who it is too. So they're
Yeah.
immediately going to look at them and be like, "Oh, what did Shirley's face say? Did she make a face? Did she scoff at the boss?" And hopefully you've already won that person over and they're not doing it. So then you can kind of pick how you know, delicately bring it up with the other people.
Play a little bit of chess. Make sure
Yes.
that
Yes.
all your pieces on the board are going to do what you think they're going to do.
Yeah. But there's actually something that we do in our hospital, and I brought it up in one of the roundtable groups that I did at VMX.
Hmm.
That we have a couple of different ways that when we implement change, that we ask of our team to hopefully avoid a lot of this like negative interaction. The
Yeah.
people who aren't really for it, but they're not voicing their opinions. They
Right.
wait until the change has already been started to then
Hmm.
start bashing it and trash talking when they think the bosses aren't around, or
Yeah.
um but we have what we call our no B rule. I have to turn it off. I'm like, I go from Feces and Laughter to anything else. I'm just like, they don't do that there.
No, I think we've
But
I
yeah.
think we've all said that word, so I think you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so we have our no bitch rule. It's a 30-day rule when we implement a change, and I actually got it from another friend in vet med who she doesn't work in hospital anymore, but she brought it up, and I was like, "Girl, I'm stealing that. We're going to use it in our hospital." And now I don't know how many people I've got doing this in other hospitals, but they know that when we try anything new, whether it's a protocol, whether it's software, any type of technology or anything, they have to give it their all for 30 days. Give me a month. Don't fuss. If you have issues, write them down. And then at the end of 30 days, we have another check in with the team. And a lot of times you find that those things that they've written down, they've crossed them out. It was just a fear. It was just and like they just didn't want to do it. They didn't want to
Yeah.
like it. And they found out at the end of 30 days, like we'd worked out kinks along the way and it was working for them, not against them. And it just took
Yeah.
a little bit of time and devotion to really see that. Another thing that we do is instead of coming into it with a negative mindset, we look at anything that's new and maybe scary and we go, oh, this is fun, or that looks like fun. And
Yeah.
it's wild because it makes you smile. It makes you giggle when you're looking at the like hit by car dog coming through the door and everybody's just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, our schedule is getting ready to go haywire. And we look at each other and we're just like, this could be fun. And then it's like, oh, it's probably not going to be fun, but you said it, so we're going to go with it. And so I
Yeah.
think just having a change in the way that we're thinking and teaching your team that it's okay. It's okay if it sucks in the beginning, but that's why we have check-ins and that's why we can change it. And if it's a total flop as a leader, own it. Tell them, all right, guys, I made you guys try this and it really sucked and it didn't work. So we're going to go back to the drawing board and just forget I ever said that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
be vulnerable enough to say that to your team.
I think it's really hard to admit mistakes, but if you're building a culture of like, it's okay to fail, it's okay to make a
Yes.
mistake, it's okay to, not have it right every single time, and especially not the first time, right? Then you're also setting yourself up as a leader to be able to be afforded that courtesy as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And our team knows it. I can't tell you how many things we've tried in our hospital that tanked. They were awful. And my medical director and I, we look at each other and we're just like, they might hate us a little bit for that one, but they don't. They don't. We meet with them and we're just like, guys, we effed up. And they're like, yeah, you did, but it's okay. What's next? And
Yeah.
so they're ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing that they aren't going to have to stick with something that truly doesn't work, I'm sure is a
Yes.
big. So how do you decide that? What's your breaking point for like, hey, this is hard, but it can and is seeming like it's going to work versus, hey, this is hard and it sucks and it's not going to work.
So I think it's being able to step back and look. So sometimes you have the issue where maybe and I know that I am probably the most guilty about this, and so it's nice that I have my medical director to pull me down out of the clouds when I'm just like, God, this is going to be so good. I will get 20 steps ahead of myself and
Yeah.
I'm ready to introduce it right now, but we don't have a written protocol. We haven't trained the team. I just feel like it's going to be great because of all the information I've learned by myself. And
Yeah.
she's like, girl, slow your roll. We're not ready yet.
Hold up.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think she has to pump my brakes for me because I'm just like, we're going. And the team can see it too, because then I start talking really fast. I can't calm myself down and they're just like, gosh, she's doing it again. But I think, like I said, being able to storm it with your team and like
Yeah.
break it apart, and figure out like, is it put back togetherable? I just
Yeah.
made that up. But if we break it and it can't be put back together, then we probably need to go back to the drawing board and see, like, do we need to revamp that whole system or do we need to go with something else? We've tried like online pharmacies.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a good example. We've gone with some in the past, or we've gone with a specific one in the past, and our PIM system and that online pharmacy did not play nice together.
Yeah.
We found out very quickly that what we thought was going to make our lives easier and make our team's lives easier and benefit our clients was awful.
Yeah.
Probably works really well for other people that have a PIM system that can work with it, but not for us. And
Right.
so we kept it for a little while because I think we were kind of locked in for maybe like at least a year. And so we were just like, guys, really sorry. We went with this because we thought it was going to do the trick. We found out it didn't. So then we had to pull the plug and switch back over. And our team, I think the hard part about that and what kind of knocked me down with it so much is that how much work we had to put into implementing it only for it to fail. And so being able to talk to your team and say, guys, I am sorry. I know that we thought this was going to be great. I got you all hyped up for it. We get it going and we get a month in and we're just like, oh my God, this is awful. And then
Yeah.
you have to grit your teeth and bear it because it's in place. And so then I think it's having that conversation afterwards that, okay, in about 10 months, 9 months, we're going to be prepping to switch to a new online pharmacy. So you guys know that we have to communicate that with our clients. We have to
Yep.
get rid of all the advertisements and like flyers and things in our hospital, make sure that everything's pulled, and we have to be prepared to switch over prescriptions. And there's going to be a lot of background work that's going to suck, but we've really dug into this new one and we know that it's going to work better for you guys. And so, like I said, I think it comes back to vulnerability and ownership and just saying like, all right, I know that that sucked and I am sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, thanking your team for just weathering it with you. Um, and then if you do implement something too fast, and let's say it's not something that big and drastic, and you're just like, okay, this doesn't work, but why isn't it working?
Hmm.
And being able to pick it apart with your team and make adjustments. And so that's why we have our 30-day rule. So that if they come to us, if at 30 days we still have like a workflow issue or a few speed bumps, we can figure out how to fix those. And we work
Right.
together as a team to make changes that are actually going to move us forward. So, and then once you get that momentum and that traction, you're good to go.
Yeah, you've got a good trajectory. And you brought up a good
Mm-hmm.
point a minute ago, which is really, don't fall prey to the sunk cost fallacy, right? Don't get stuck in, we've put so much time, effort, etc. into this, we're going to have to make it work. If it doesn't work, move on,
It doesn't
because
work. Yeah.
you're going to lose your team's trust if you keep trying to shove through something or pretend something's happening that isn't, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. If it's not, if you see your team miserable with something that has been added into your workflow or, you know, piece of technology, like own that.
Hmm.
Talk to them because that's going to add to a better culture in your hospital. It's going to build trust with your team and it's going to earn you more respect and buy-in with your team.
So I want to leave our listeners with kind of a step by step today of how you start change, implement it, reevaluate, and either proceed with it or go a different direction. So
Yeah.
give me that like high level
How you
step by
roll it
step.
out?
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing is do your homework.
Hmm.
If you know that you want to implement a new protocol or if you know that your technology, I think is a huge one because a lot of times when you're starting with something like that, like you're going to be in a little bit of a commitment.
Yeah,
Um and so I think doing the background homework, having like a partner, like if you're a practice manager, talking with your medical director, um, and figuring out why do you need to make this change? Why do you need to add this in? And work through all of those things first, and then communicate it with your team. Did a cat just jump in your lap?
I told you he was going to show up.
I love it. I wish Franklin would be in my lap right now if he could. He is like he's been right here beside me this entire time. He couldn't even lay down. He's so excited. Um, so working through the problems first,
Hmm.
having a team meeting. I think acknowledging what issue you're trying to solve or what
Right,
efficiency piece you're trying to enhance. Talking through that with them and getting their input and then letting them know, like, hey, I have found this app or I have found this software and I think that it's going to take us to the next level and I think it's going to help a lot. This is why. And letting them give their input and feedback. And then from there, like have your staff training, let them sit in on calls if you've got integration calls or if there's have your key people that can sit in on those things with you that can help proactively get your team on board.
right.
Um, and then, like I said, really take time with your team and train them. Don't throw it in. Don't just like throw them into it. It's gonna flop. You're gonna have a lot of people that are really frustrated or cutting corners or just not knowing how to use it, and then it's gonna feel like it failed. Um, and then, like I said before, if you know that you have those people that are not they're really change averse, having conversations, private conversations with them. Let them get their big feelings out first before you
Yes.
bring it to the group. Because it's okay. Let them have them. Let them have those big feelings. They are owned, those feelings. So let them have those.
Yeah.
And then once you have implemented it, like I said, having your team take notes, listen to what they're saying, be on the floor with them and see how it's actually going, and then have routine check-ins. Make sure that you've got written protocols in line. See how things are going with them. And when you check in with them, truly listen to them and see what problems they're having and work with them to fix them. So if they've got an issue with something, have them come back with 1 or 2 solutions to help fix it. And what would they do to make a positive change and make it work for them? And try those things out. Don't kick them to the curb. Help them and let them help you too. And I think another big thing is celebrating the small wins. So you don't have to celebrate at the finish line, because the finish line might be 6 to 12 months down the road. But celebrate the small wins. Your naysayers, they got on board and they did it. High five them. Like with our new credit card terminals, we just got new credit card terminals like about a month ago. And my technology girl, my anti-technology girl, when she comes to me and she's like, I did this payment. I was like, yeah, girl, get it. She came to me today, right before I got on this call with you, to tell me that she ran a payment and it gave her fireworks. And I was like, what do you mean fireworks? And she was like, when you do it right, there's fireworks on the screen. I was like, I did not know that, because I don't use the term. I know I don't use the terminals. I use the computer, like the cloud terminal. And so she was using the handheld, and I was just like, well, dang, girl, it likes you. It gave you fireworks. So like, I mean, even our machines are celebrating our people. But like I said, doing those mini celebrations, hitting milestones and setting goals with your team that are achievable so that they don't feel like they're failing. And then just, I think if you can do those things, it will be successful. And be vulnerable enough to say, to be able to call it quits because it's wrong and it's not working for your team and you made a bad decision. That's okay. It happens. People will sell you the world and then give you a gumball. I don't know what. I think there's a saying there, but I don't know it. I make up sayings all the time.
Well, if there's not a saying there before, there is now. People will sell you the world and give you a gumball.
I'm Perfect. Coin that one.
Perfect. Well, I think we've given the listeners a great roadmap for how to roll out change in their practice, specifically around technology, new services, things like that. I think that wraps up our conversation for today. Amanda, thank you so much for joining me. And to our listeners, if this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone on your team or share it with someone else who's kind of feeling those same pains. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we will catch you next time.
Bye, guys.